Ace Agent Abyss. The game is dying because the meta economy is dying. Grinding will always be the core of FusionFall. First impression is that I disagree. Grinding is one of the cores, not the core, but one of the cores. But you can't add permanent grindable items and expect the economy to scale perfectly. Yeah, I do agree with you that. When you add a new item to the game, you need to think of every way one player can possibly get this item. Let's take the ice key for example. The way you obtain these is the reason Christmas items are worthless. Ice Titans spawn every 15 seconds, and you could just use ults to triple your chance of getting a key. To actually quadruple your chance. But yeah, I do agree with you with that. Also, the fact that they were missing rewards didn't help. Because of this, and because the event was left up for a while, economy-wise, items are worth nothing right now. This is something that's prominent with event items in the future. Like, you know, for example, we have ourselves the Time Squad stuff and the Halloween stuff. Like, the prices of these, they did not really dramatically increase, and in fact these items right here, they were reintroduced, which I have no problem with because these items never had a lot of value. But like, you know, if we were to come back a year from now with this, I would expect that the value of these items right here would still continue to be 5k to 15k, and there would be a form of surprise where, for example, when you know, like when the Halloween 2019 event happened, a lot of people were really requesting the Nurgle set. Before it was like 50k, and then it doubled in price to 100k. You know, so for the vast majority of them, for Canismus 2019, we don't know if it's actually good or not. The way that the items were obtained. So I think another thing that's also important to go touch on would have to be you guys really need to go fix multi-accounting and multi-boxing, because it doesn't matter how many items that you guys reintroduce, because a group of players, they could always just use multi-accounting to go get items 4 times as fast, and thus would very quickly ruin the value. But not just the value. You know, I talked about this before in the economy series. Like, I grinded 30 items. I grinded 30 Rodneys, and I sold it to 30 people. I originally thought that was a win-win because I get my Taros, right? I got millions of Taros. I made 30 people happy. But the problem here is that those 30 people are like, they're no longer going to be willing to grind for that item. Those 30 people could have actually formed groups and grinded the items themselves, and thus extending the longevity of the update. The items are worth nothing right now. The Christmas event was awesome and the items are cool, don't get me wrong. Would it be possible to make layers so that everyone needs at least one of the item to enter? So I think what could have made... So the thing that made Halloween 2019 something that the trading community really loved is that the items, that the ultra rares were actually something that were actually ultra rare. You have to spend a lot of time to go get these ultra rare items. I want to try and be neutral with this. Like, I can see, like, during the Halloween 2019 event, like, my first impression was, wait, you have to go kill 3,000 pumpkin spawns? That's kind of boring. That's a bit too grindy. So like, if that does not appeal to the casual average player who has to play a whole bunch of other Halloween games from other games that they play. Anyways, like, in order for them to improve Halloween 2019, just make the average player just kill 100 pumpkin spawns, and if they wanted more, they would just keep on grinding and grinding. But I think if they were to have made the Canismus drop table equal to the Halloween drop rate, then it would have made Canismus the best update. It would have made the Canismus update potentially the best update the game has had for an event. Event items or limited time items are the top of the economy right now. Yeah, event items. Yeah, they're the meta. I know you guys want to stay away from this type of stuff now, but this is why the economy is on its last leg. Grindables would help the economy, but they'd have to be added at a steady pace so there's enough for everyone to grind. Yeah, I already talked about the multi-accounting. Items like Fuse Breaker Hurricane, 1 per max level character, are great. I think it has no value. But okay. Racing items, this is something entirely different. Infected zones that take the longest to race have the most expensive items. Monkey Crown is at 400k. The thing is, very little players race. It's just not that rewarding right now. People who don't race try and price racing items. They don't know the struggle. People who don't grind try and price the hardest items. Why does it cost this much? People think Goon Squad is intentionally pricing items high for no reason. No, maybe if you sunk a little bit of time into the game and actually try grind for items, you understand why. Black Ace used to be a whopping 350k, but people started realizing you can just triple your chances by using ults. I heard a while back that ultra rare drop chance was increased by 20%. Not sure if that's true or not. It's so definitely not the best choice at all. Adding Cannonbolt set and Echo was not necessary either. Ultra super hard to grind items, really would not mind making a new crate, a tier above gold. New rarity, legendary, I don't know. Yeah, so Ace Agent has a whole bunch of stuff that I actually covered inside of the economy video. So like the more times I reference the economy series, the more times I actually think that you guys need to go watch this before you can watch the community feedback thing, because a lot of my ideas will be referenced over and over again inside of this thread. Yeah, so how do you improve Cadismus 2019? You just make the drop rates equivalent to Halloween 2019, and that would have been the best update ever. Yeah, so event items are basically the meta. Grindables, they don't really have any value, unfortunately. New grindables, new gold exclusive grindables, a problem would be multi-counting that needs to be fixed. Having, let's see, racing. Yeah, racing items again. I agree, and I also disagree with this. It's just not that rewarding right now. I think it's very rewarding. Like you get a whole bunch of, you get like 150 plus racing items, and I already repeated myself. If they want to make racing much more relevant, just every update add in one new set for ourselves to go race for. And I definitely do agree that items such as the Monkey King Crown, people don't understand how expensive this item is. It's ultra hard, and there's a reason why it's worth a lot of taros relative to everything else. And people don't understand why is Electrometame so hard to go grind. The reason why is because actually try grinding at Devil's Bluff. Those Canyon Stalkers, they're spread out. You can't really multi-account there. Additionally, there's only one. It's like the worst place to go grind. Same thing with like the whole Creeposaurus Rex. Really bad drop rates. So the difficulty of grinding an item is strongly correlated with the value of an item. Although it's not always 100%. And yeah, this is another important thing as well. Was increased by 20%. Yeah, so there's this thing that I first noticed when Retro came out. The drop rates were incredibly easier, that you could get items much faster. You can get your ultra rares much faster, and the devs were saying, oh, we tried our best to go mimic the drop rates as much as possible, but for some reason the grinding community, the trading community, they're all saying that that it's actually really easy to go get items. And I agree, and I also disagree. I think the reason, if this is true that they actually made grinding easier, this is understandable because, well, for one thing, I really hate grinding, and grinding is just this incredibly boring mechanism where you're just killing monsters over and over and over and over again, expecting when can I get this item, right? So if they made it 20% easier, or whatever the increase is, then it's understandable. It would be problematic if they made things drop like candy. Then that's where the problem revolves around. And yeah, having a new rarity, legendary. This is pretty much what these gold exclusives are. I need to go update the value of this. Roaming bosses. I would love to see multiple different bosses around the world, specifically around Fuse's lair, where it's supposed to be the most infected place. I know there are a few bosses already, but I'm pretty sure you can increase the size of a few different monsters and add them as bosses. Yeah, so just adding more world bosses. It'd be really cool if they could actually add a huge Dawn Doom roaming around Fuse's lair, patrolling the area. There's the photo right here. We fortunately already have the Dark Horntail and the Shipwrecker. These are old photos now. All we need is the Gatekeeper, which is the most anticipated one, Injustice Foe, Stone Scorpion, as well as the Column Colossus, something to really look forward to. And it's not just that. These are not this is not everything. They could also add in more world bosses, such as like the files that they already have in FusionFall Legacy or items created by the community. It's a huge problem that modding in FusionFall is almost impossible, so when the community wants to create new ideas for items, clothes, vehicles, they're limited to draw themselves instead of making a new model or retexturing existing models. So the only chance is to ask the Retro team to create them, which so far have been doing a great job. So again, an easy way is for the devs to have the whole calling on designers thread, and Prizzy made a video about that. They're still looking at the designs, so that's a step in the right direction. Stronger monsters in general. We all know how easy FusionFall is already, and that's because its mechanics are fairly simple. So to solve this, it would be nice to see an increase of damage and health of all monsters that already exist. Not by a ton, of course, but just enough to make you use nano powers more often instead of just selecting the right color to deal more damage and receive less damage. I'm not exactly sure if that's the best way to do that. That's my first impression, just having a flat increase of the boss's health. Probably won't solve it. Maybe if I'm working out the idea right now at my head. Okay, if they were to add in flat increase of health, like 20% more health, and if they were to go spam their eruption attacks or their stun attacks, it probably would make combat much more interesting. But that's a very lazy way to do that. I think they could do a much better way. Let's just say like in a FusionFall Legacy. And I already talked about. I made a video about how can we improve these really bad nanos, such as radar, treasure hunter, sleep, snare. Treasure hunter could be like a RNG booster where it just increases the amount of crates you get. Snare could be used as a way to be useful as for like infected zone racing. Sleep could be used as a debuff increase. So just for example, if like stun causes the monster to be stunned for like 3 to 4 seconds, with the debuff, which is sleep, it can actually now just be like 6-7 seconds with a gumball added. That would make things really meta as a grinding power. Radar actually having a form of omniscient view. So if you were to have your radar nano out, it would show all the monsters inside of that area. It would show all of the eggs. It would show all of the NPCs, all of the missions. That would make things really meta when you're like leveling up. So retextures of some NPCs and monsters. Just look closely at my poor Samurai Jack or Lord Fuse himself. I do agree with Samurai Jack. Why does he have a scar? It was never mentioned. Dungeons, raids that require groups. It would be nice to see dungeons where monsters are so strong that you would need a group of multiple people using different sets of nanos. Imagine a fusion layer where you start against multiple monsters, keep advancing, and at the end of the layer there would be a boss or bosses to defeat and get rewards like the unique legendary items. These dungeons should be replayable as many times as you want. And last, remove the censorship of Discord. We all use it. Thank you if you read everything. I read everything. Thank you, Ben. Your ideas are excellent. And yeah, I do agree with all of this. If they were to implement these strategies, these concepts inside of the game, it would definitely make the game a lot better. I'm not exactly sure about practicality, but I think retexturing the NPCs is something that they already have. They have FusionFall Legacy, right? They should probably already have like retextured NPCs. That's just a speculation though. So yeah, more world bosses, calling all designers, stronger monsters, and dungeons. These are common things that we're seeing here.